This is Lofty Surridge. He's one of my best friends. This is Sunday the 23rd of May, and Lofty carries the institutional and financial memories of the hard times that we've had in the past, and he brings them forward, and he's able to actually help us with things, insights into how we should be coping as the economy unwinds and becomes more and more challenging for us. Lofty, what do you reckon?
I don't give us much hope for us, but we've just got to teach. The kids have got to be taught properly. They're not getting taught properly. They're just going to school and there's no ambition with them, and they're just a liability.
Now, when you were a young fella, you had a task,
Yes.
and you had to go and provide so many meals a week
Yes.
for your mother. You were actually catching wildlife, food. You were out there hunting and gathering for your mother, weren't you?
That's right.
What did you do, Lofty? How did you do it? You caught what?
I caught rabbits.
Yeah.
And skinned them and sold the skins, and I provided 3 or 4 meals a week for our family with trout, and which I tickled or gaffed or whatever, and salmon in the season, and we all got by in bad times. The Depression, of course, was a pretty hard time. People didn't have any money. There were kids going to school with no food, etc., etc., and that's the way we were brought up. But we learned to appreciate the fact that we had to provide for ourselves.
And here you are, Lofty.
You can't depend on the government for anything.
Here you are, Lofty, in your mid-80s, and you're ironing your own shirts.
Yeah.
Now that's tremendous, isn't it? And not only that, but you cook yourself at least 2 square meals a day.
Oh, yes.
You're a good cook. You've cooked for me,
Yeah.
and I can attest to your culinary skill. And so basically what you're saying is we have to really return to the basics, don't we?
Correct.
The fundamentals. And we have to live within our means.
Yes, and teach our children to do the same thing.
And we haven't been doing that.
No, things have got out of hand.
Yeah.
Everybody depends on the government.
That's the baby
which in
boomers.
turn
Yeah.
are a useless lot of people.
Oh dear. Okay.
That's a shock. That's the way I feel. You've got people that have no ability and haven't got the brains to run a country properly. And that's it. But it needs a...
Well, there you are. We've been talking with Lofty Surridge, as I say, and he's a wonderful man. He's a great resource to us here in Wellington, and a respected business person.
Thank you very much, Brian. No more.
And you're feeding the birds.
Oh, yeah.
The city slickers, you call them. Little sparrows come here, and they also come to my place as well.
Yes.
But I think it's wonderful when a man has compassion for little animals.
Thank you, Brian.
Now, what was the name of the dog? Ike.
Oh, Christ.
There's a story that's worth telling. Tell us about Ike. Oh, come on, we've got to hear about Ike. Ike was an amazing dog. He was a wide-haired terrier, and he had a unusual temperament. And what did he like to do, Lofty? He liked...
He would be peeing where he shouldn't be. And if he didn't like a person, he'd cock his leg.
And he also got into a lot of fights, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, he was always in trouble. But there we are. No,
But you put up with him.
Hey? Oh, yeah, he was a likeable dog.
Well, this girl that came to my place today to see my son, she brought up a Staffordshire Bull Terrier cross with a lab, and it was a little girl dog.
Yeah.
And it was tied around the letterbox when I went out to see what was going on, and I said to her, I think it might pull the letterbox over. I don't think it's a good idea to leave it there. And then she tried to tell me that it was quite intelligent, and I said, I don't think bloody Staffordshire Bull Terriers are very bright, eh?
I don't know anything about them, but...
Ike was pretty clever though, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, it was a hard case. He'd attack any dog at all. The bigger the better. It was a good one. But however, that's
Where did you have all the sheep over the road?
over the road.
On the 3rd floor or 2nd floor?
The
Or?
2nd floor of the building.
Yeah.
I had an interest in a farm, and the mothers had died, and they had these little
Lambs?
lambs, there was a dozen of them, and we brought them into town, and I fed them, and we bought hay, and we had a clothing factory, and the factory was covered in hay, and the lambs would pee everywhere.
Oh, God.
You put the milk in one end and they were fizzing in the other.
Oh, God.
But there we are.
Yeah.
They were great little fellows, but I don't know what happened to them. I think different people took them as pets, but I'm sure they went into the pots.
And you're still missing your old cat, aren't you?
Oh yes, that's a sad one.
Yeah.
But, nobody liked it on the premises.
No, it's true.
And they did everything to dissuade me from having it.
Yeah.
And they were just a pack of bastards, that's all.
And you wouldn't believe it, but I came here one day and there were messages all around the bloody place saying the cat's peed here. That's what cats do, of course. Yeah. And it was a very old cat, a geriatric cat. And this wonderful man behind me here, Lofty, he was looking after the geriatric cat.
Yeah.
And he looked after it, and he was a great mate to it. And there you are. So anyone who likes animals, dogs, and probably not that keen on children, or you are keen on children, aren't you, Lofty?
Oh, yeah.
So he likes dogs.
I've had 5 kids.
Yeah, he likes dogs and children, so that's a pretty good place to start, eh?
Yeah, they've been brought up differently from the children today.
Yes, indeed.
And I don't know whether it's for the better or worse, but you give them a chance, and that's the best you can do.
You've given everyone a good chance, mate.
Yeah, they've all done well.
Including your staff here, giving them lots of chances.
Yeah.
There you are.
Yeah.
Now the other thing I want to talk about is your father, because he actually helped open up New Zealand's electricity.
No, not really.
Well, he did. He supervised the installation of all these big generators.
Very clever man. But he didn't have any exams or anything.
We're not worried about that. He was a doer.
Yes, well, he worked hard. We never saw him because he loved his work. He was a very keen man, and he worked very, very hard. And we never saw him. He worked until 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and during the day he'd been working flat out, but we wouldn't see him. Weekends he was working and not being paid for it.
Yeah, and actually he was, what, at his prime in the Depression?
Yes, he was.
And he did some very interesting and unusual things too, though, didn't he? I mean, he was concerned about the men who were working for him.
Oh yes, he had 400 men working for him.
And at one stage he took some of them gold mining to try and help them.
Correct. They were laid off from the government could not afford to pay their wages anymore.
Yeah.
And they had nowhere to go. And they thought, well, what about us going over to Cromwell and having a go at gold mining?
Right.
And gold was £4.10 an ounce. And they had no money, and here they were in tents in the very cold climate of central Otago, and nothing on the clock, no money, and having to live.
It's a world that we could barely relate to now.
We don't have it.
No.
And we don't know that we're alive. And however, there we are, that's the way the world is.
But I think actually, you know, that I think the clock is turning again on us. We're going to go back to some...
People wouldn't tolerate it today, though. They'd be just out on strike and thieving and smashing into shops, taking anything.
They won't tolerate it.
Yeah, they wouldn't tolerate it. But that doesn't help when you've got other people with their shops as a living, and you've got people coming in and breaking in and taking the stuff.
It's gone really, really bad in Thailand.
Yeah, I agree.
And I've got a friend there.
That's political.
Yeah.
And religion.
Yeah.
Which
but
is not good.
It's got a lot to do with corruption, hasn't it?
Well, I suppose so, but anything at all, just to make a living or whatever. But you've got two factors there, and I think one's religion and the other one's they want good livings.
Yeah.
However, that's their business. We've got enough trouble coming up here.